Sports Fantasies with Miller and McCarty.
Sports Fantasies with Miller McCarty. Here we are doing some Dynasty rankings and mock drafts. We're into the starting pitchers, which we limited to 10. Maybe our mistake here, McCarty, was we should have did 20 starting pitchers and 0 relief pitchers. We'll know for next year. Let's jump right into the starters. I believe I get the first pick here. I went back and forth. I went back and forth for the last 5 minutes while I was waiting for you during our break. I'm going to go with 25-year-old Spencer Strider from the Atlanta Braves. He went 18.3 points per game last year, 32 starts, 20 wins, struck out 281 batters, had a 3.86 ERA. He was the top scoring pitcher, I believe, by points per game and total points last year in our leagues. I flip-flopped him and Garrett Cole a couple different times. So Spencer Strider from the Braves, 25 years old. I will take him at number 1.
Yeah, I had him at number 1 as well, ahead of this guy, actually. Number 2, first time he's making a list all night, outfield or otherwise. I know he didn't make any of your list. It's Mr. Shohei, deferred money Ohtani. Look, he's not going to pitch this year, but he's still eligible in my book and in my heart, so I'm putting him here at number 2.
It makes sense. You're a Dodgers fan, so it's a homer pick. The one thing I'll say, if the Dodgers are smart, and something I've been saying about Shohei for quite a while, he should be a closer. So he should be on our next list because he could hit every day. He could come in and close games. You would save his arm. He'd only throw 85 innings a year. That's what I would do if I were the Dodgers, but I am obviously not the Dodgers, so I'm sure they'll screw it up, and he'll need TJ surgery every other year for the next 20 years.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but So here you get Garrett Cole number 3.
Yeah, I already told you it's Garrett Cole at number 3 for me. I know he's a little older. He is 33 years old. Pitchers are pitching into their 40s nowadays, though. He went 17 points per game in 33 starts last year, 15 wins, went 222 strikeouts. So strikeouts were down about 30 last year. Not overly concerning to me. I think it's going to be consistent. He's playing on a team that's going to win a lot of games. There's going to be games where he can give up 4 or 5 runs and still have a chance to win. So he tends to go deep into games, 24 quality starts as well. So Garrett Cole at number 3, I am fine with that.
Yeah, I would be too. And don't you feel like Garrett Cole, even though I know we both said Strider at 1, but don't you think Garrett Cole is maybe the actual only guaranteed ace in Major League Baseball?
Yeah, 100%. And that's why I went back and forth with Strider and him at 1. I had a feeling you were going to take Ohtani at 2, so I knew if I took Strider at 1, I would get Cole back at 3. So there was a little bit of strategy on my part there. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like his floor is 16.5 and his ceiling's 20. So, and with Strider, I think his ceiling is 20 and his floor is 12. So,
yeah. All right, then at number 4 and where he lined up on my list, 29 years old, it's Corbin Burnes. I think a lot of people considered last year to be a down year, but luckily for Mr. Burnes, his down years are most pitchers' career best. So I still think he's a pretty safe play with that elite upside. He went to Baltimore now. I think that helps him there. A good lineup. He's going to win games. 19 quality starts over 32 games started last year. It gives you more than a K per inning. So I would go Corbin at 4.
Yeah, I think the thing people aren't talking about Baltimore is this new ownership group's going to spend money. I mean, I don't think Cal Ripken's a part of this group to not spend money and not to win. So I think you're going to see Baltimore with all their young guys that they have. I think you're going to see them start spending some more money, which is going to make them real dangerous. I don't think they got to spend Yankee or Red Sox money either. I think they just have to spend a little bit of money, and they're going to be really, really good.
Yeah.
Although I do like the way this is playing out because this allows me to take the guy that's next on my list, who's 28 years old. It's Zach Gallen. He went 15.7 points per game last year, 34 starts, 20 quality starts. He had 220 strikeouts, ERA of 3.47. Playing with the Diamondbacks, that's a pitcher's park. You mentioned the Dodgers Stadium tends to be a pitcher's park. San Diego, who's also in their division, is a pitcher's park. Now, I know they're playing a more equal schedule this year, so it's not going to be quite as skewed as in years past, where he's just going to be able to live in the NL West. But I still like Zach Gallen quite a lot, especially at pick 5.
Can't hate that. At pick 6, and I'm going to start going inexperienced here, at least from an MLB standpoint. And look, give me my second Dodger pitcher off the board. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, 25 years old, of course, just came over from overseas. He's pitched. He just pitched the other day, spring training. Pitched 2 scoreless innings in his debut, 3 Ks. 16 of those 19 pitches were strikes, but we know he has a lot of control and throws strikes. 12-year deal in LA in that pitcher's park. I know you love him a lot too. He handled a lot of innings previously overseas, so I think he's locked and loaded.
I do like him quite a bit. He was the next guy on my list. I only went the way I did because the guys that I have picked have proven it already at a major league level. And
Sure.
I'm not saying Yamamoto isn't going to prove it, but I like the way it fell for me. I think next for me, I'm going to go 26-year-old Logan Gilbert from the Mariners. Averaged 14.5 last year, 32 starts, 18 quality starts, 13 wins, 189 strikeouts. I'd like to see his strikeouts come up a little bit. Definitely want him over 200 when you're talking about a top 10 pitcher, but I like Logan Gilbert quite a bit, especially when you're talking about the 8th pick or 7th.
7th pick at number 8. I'm going to fall right behind you with another Seattle pitcher, 26-year-old George Kirby. Had 20 quality starts last year in 31 games. He doesn't walk anybody. I mean nobody. He's similar to Gilbert. You'd like to see the strikeouts come up, but he averages just under a strikeout per inning. More of a contact guy. Was a first round pick when he came up. But I think Seattle's putting together a pretty good thing out there too, and you're going to get wins out of that. So give me Kirby at 8.
Yeah, can't hate on that at all. The next guy I think you're probably going to give me a little bit of grief for. It's a guy I've been trying to sell everyone for a couple years. Last year he finally saw some potential. That's Mitch Keller. Averaged 15.1, 32 games started, 18 quality starts, 13 wins, 210 strikeouts. Of course, the problem with him is he's in Pittsburgh, so he could struggle a little bit in the win category. He's 13-9 last year. And that was with his 18 quality starts. But I like Keller a lot. He's over the 200 strikeout mark. I think that's only going to go up as he matures. So he's a guy that I was trying to sell high on before he ever really had any success. Everyone laughed at me, and now I get offers for him on a weekly basis. So
yeah, I gave you a lot of grief for him. He's coming around, that old Keller. Then to round it out here at pick 10, I'm going super young, but I think has as much potential as anybody in the game, and it's Yuri Perez. 19 games last year, again, didn't blow anybody away, but we're talking about a 19-year-old facing major league hitting. He's 6'8", 220, 4 really effective pitches. He's going to get you a ton of strikeouts. Doesn't have many control issues. I've seen one Dynasty ranking that I respect actually had him as number 2 overall on this list. I'm not ready to go there with him yet, especially when you're talking about young pitchers and where every year is a potential injury. But if he's able to stay healthy, I think he does become one of the more dominant pitchers in the game in the next 3, 4, 5 years.
No, I completely agree with that. And with this list, I have 4 guys that weren't mentioned who I think are all worth a mention. Like I said, we probably should have did top 20 here. That's Pablo Lopez, who had a really good year last year. Uh, Webb from San Francisco he's been
Yeah.
consistent 14, 15 points per game. Luis Castillo, another Mariners pitcher, a little older. He's in his early 30s, but he's put together some good good seasons. And then Dylan Cease, an ex-Cub prospect who's pitched well with the White Sox. A lot of trade rumors around him too. I think if he can get out of Chicago, it probably helps him. Yeah, especially he came back to the Cubs. He came back to the North Side, but I don't know if you had any other pitchers on your list.
I did. I didn't want to take my third Dodger pitcher, so I left Bobby Miller off on pick 10, but I like him a lot. 25 years old, 3.76 ERA last year. Again, you're talking about a guy that's probably going to be the 5th starter in LA going against other teams, 5th starters, which I know you love those back end rotation guys a lot. So a lot of potential there.
A lot of value in those guys when they're lining up, right?
Yeah, 11-4 last year. He'll get you strikeouts, so I like that. A couple of guys I think you can take a little bit later rounds. Like for Shane McClanahan, I wouldn't necessarily call him a sleeper, but if you're in a dynasty league and you can scoop him in a later round because people aren't thinking of him because he's not going to pitch this year, he's an ace, and so come 2025 and beyond, he's going to be a great player. And then I'm interested to see a guy like Walker Buehler. I know I'm heavy on Dodgers pitchers tonight, but Buehler's coming back after not pitching an entire season. He'll slot in 3rd or 4th in that Dodger rotation. So another guy that may be forgotten out there when you're going to your drafts and things like that could potentially get you 15, 16 points per game.
I'll tell you what, if he's the 4th pitcher and he lines up consistently against other number 4s, he could win 20 games, even coming off that injury. Again, I know you didn't do the
down, but
I know you didn't do the prospects, but I did. Of course, Paul Skeens, the guy from Pittsburgh, he looked good in his first start. A lot of debate on whether or not he's going to make the roster this year. Sounds like he probably won't, and that's probably the Dodgers' fault for getting Yamamoto. And Yamamoto, of course, is a rookie, because if your guy wins Rookie of the Year, you get an extra first-round pick. So the Dodgers could get a first-round pick for having a 25-year-old Japanese guy come over who's been playing professional baseball since he was 19. Jackson Jobe, guy from the Tigers, of course, they've had a bunch of pitching prospects. And of course, I went a little homer here and went Cade Horton from the Cubs. He's 22. He should see some major league time this year. Guy that I'm real excited about, and am hopeful that he can live up to his potential.
Yeah, I don't have any else on my list, but a couple of young guys I like. Hunter Green. I wish he wasn't in Cincinnati, but Hunter Green.
He throws hard.
I think Grayson Rodriguez has the potential to finally get it going. The Arizona guy, Brandon Pfaadt, I don't know how you say his name. He's got like 4 A's in his name and a P and an F and a D and a T. And
P-F-A-A-T-T or D-T or something.
But there's, it's funny when you look at the prospect pitchers, there are so many big time, like these guys are going to be front end rotation guys, and a couple injuries later, take like a guy that's a free agent in leagues now, Sixto Sanchez, that used to be, he was going to be the next big, front end rotation guy for Miami, and he's not even owned now. So
right, you never know. He actually started in Philadelphia, right? He's going to be 26 this year, and he's had 3 major surgeries. And he's out of options, crazy. So a lot of people don't even know if he'll stay in Miami.
Yeah.
So, all right. I believe that ends our time on starting pitchers, and of course, we'll be back to do McCarty's favorite segment of the night, relief pitching.
That's terrible.
5. Thank you for listening to Sports Fantasies with Miller and McCarty. And be sure to catch future shows wherever you stream.
Bye-bye now.